Most advice about deep work focuses on mindset. Protect your focus. Say no more. Eliminate distractions. Treat your attention as a finite resource. All of this is correct, and none of it is sufficient on its own. Because mindset advice that asks you to make dozens of individual decisions every day about whether to protect your focus or compromise it. And individual decisions made under pressure, with competing priorities, social costs, and an inbox actively demanding attention, tend to go the wrong way more often than not. The professionals who produce the most cognitively demanding work consistently are not the ones making better individual decisions in the moment. They are the ones who have designed systems that take most of those decisions off the table in advance before the pressure arrives. Cal Newport calls this a depth philosophy, and it is the practical core of deep work, the part that moves the book from a compelling argument about what is wrong with modern professional life into something you can actually build into the architecture of a real working week. Newport identifies 4 approaches to scheduling deep work, each suited to different professional contexts and different levels of autonomy over how time is structured. The monastic philosophy involves eliminating or radically minimizing shallow obligations altogether, available to a narrow category of professionals whose primary value is the depth of their cognitive output and who have the standing to structure their lives accordingly. The bimodal philosophy involves dividing time into clearly defined periods, some dedicated entirely to deep work, others available for shallow obligations. Mornings for depth, afternoons for meetings. The division is explicit, known to everyone who needs to know it, and protected on both sides. The rhythmic philosophy is the most broadly applicable and the most relevant to professionals inside conventional organizations with conventional expectations. It involves building a consistent daily deep work habit at a fixed time, for a fixed duration, until it becomes as automatic and non-negotiable as any other fixed commitment in the working day. Not a decision made fresh each morning about whether today is a good day for focus. A scheduled appointment with depth that happens at the same time every working day, regardless of how everything else looks. The journalistic philosophy, named for the ability of experienced journalists to drop into focused writing mode on demand regardless of conditions, involves training yourself to switch into deep work whenever a window of opportunity opens. This requires the most developed capacity for focus and is the least reliable starting point for most professionals, but it is worth building toward. What all 4 share is structural commitment rather than aspirational intention. The depth does not happen because you feel ready or because conditions align. It happens because you have designed a system in which it happens by default, at a protected time, in conditions you have prearranged before the day starts, and the inbox opens, and the competing demands begin. Newport pairs this with 2 additional tools worth naming. The shutdown ritual, a deliberate end-of-day process for reviewing incomplete tasks, capturing what needs to carry forward, and explicitly closing the working day. The purpose is to give your mind genuine permission to disengage completely rather than remaining in the low-level background processing state that compounds cognitive fatigue across weeks and months of sustained output. And productive meditation, using time that is physically occupied but cognitively free, a commute, a walk, a run, to focus deliberately on a single well-defined professional problem with a clear goal for what the session should produce. These are not motivational techniques. They are engineering decisions applied to the architecture of a working day. They take the question of whether deep work happens today out of the domain of willpower and into the domain of system design, where it is far more likely to survive contact with the actual conditions of a real professional life. The action before the final episode is to choose one of the 4 philosophies and design 1 week around it deliberately. Not a permanent restructuring, a designed experiment. If you work in a conventional organization, the rhythmic philosophy is almost certainly your starting point. A single fixed daily deep work block at the same time each day for 5 days. Write it down before tomorrow morning. Decide the time, the duration, and the single priority it will serve this week. Episode 5 closes the series with the full professional case for deep work as a competitive strategy, the specific advantage separating professionals who compound across a career from those who plateau early and wonder why. Subscribe so you do not miss it.